Listen, Shaniece is at this point family first and foremost. Shaniece is family. Shaniece is the little sister who will do anything for you.
What's an area of growth, I guess, that you would say that you've kicked my behind multiple times?
Who I have kicked your butt multiple times on remembering who the hell you are.
From your perspective, who is Shaniece?
Shaniece is my cousin, my first friend, someone who I don't need to talk to every day, but just almost like a therapist for me, and a person who also motivates me and challenges me.
What's up, you guys? Welcome to the first episode of Closet Therapy. It's your girl and favorite professional closet organizer, declutter expert, and scientist. And y'all, the amount of times I probably recorded this episode, I don't even want to count. The hair changes, the outfit changes, the bloopers, which one day I'll probably show you guys. But I realized that it's all about the messy middle. And I was actually listening to my inspiration and favorite person, one of my favorite people on the planet, Mel Robbins. And I went back to her first episode and I said, now, if Mel can film her podcast in the corner of a hotel room, surrounded by pillows on the floor, I surely can do this, right? And she had notes. She had a mic that wasn't this fancy mic, but she just began. And what I realized what Closet Therapy was all about is the messy middle and beyond the beautiful hangers and the organization and all these things. It's about the messy middle. And so on this podcast and this first episode, you're going to get messy with me. I'm doing something new. I'm going to have notes, and I'm probably going to be looking at my notes and looking at you at the same time, but it's all about what you are going to receive from the information that I have here. And so I want to start off by saying, before there was the idea of Closet Therapy or the business or even this podcast, like I lived in quite a few messy middles in my life. And I would say that I was the type of person that was wandering. I was searching for purpose. I was trying to figure out who I was supposed to be or who people wanted me to be. And I went from being the girl in the lab dissecting frogs and sheep brains, studying behavior, to the girl that was working in finance at a hedge fund, trying to find her way and seeing how she can fit in amongst the elite who welcomed me with open arms. But also I was struggling with my own internal battle of just being enough and my own identity issues. But then I went on to pursue my own dream of working in fashion, backstage New York Fashion Week, dressing models, doing one of the biggest parades that happened in the year in New York City is the Thanksgiving parade. Being able to dress, it was the SpongeBob float. I remember vividly. It was one of my favorite floats. And what I learned even then was meeting the people that were, in the costume. These are real people behind some of the things that we admire or that we love or we see as this fancy thing. And that's where I started really making like a lot of connections in the fashion industry. But I found myself trying to look the part a lot, right? Like seeing if I belonged even in those rooms. I wasn't sure if those are even the rooms that I wanted to be in. And then from that, fast forward a few years, I ended up in ministry. And all of these chapters, there was one thing that was consistent, and that was my closet. My closet in itself always told on me. The closet was always my safe space. As a little girl, I can remember the moments that my mom would tell me that I couldn't have or do something, or that my older siblings would not let me in their room or go out with them to their friend's house or to the store, that your parents be like, you got to bring your sister with you, like the annoying little sister that I, took on that title, even as I got older. But I would run to the closet as if I was running away. Where was I going? I don't even know where I was going, but the closet was my safe space. And it wasn't the kind of running away where like I packed my bags and, I was, going to leave the house and what you see in movies. It was actually me just going to a place that felt quiet, that was dark, that was tiny, that felt like it was giving me in this this weird way, like a hug, and the opportunity and the permission to just be myself, to not compare myself, to not worry about what someone was saying about me, to not worrying if I was like going to fit in. I was just the youngest of 3 girls on my mom's side and the second to youngest on my dad's side, of 6 of us on my dad's side, just craving for attention, craving to be seen. And I found safety in my closet, this small, dark, tiny, reaching closet that if I had to sit here and think back, it smelled like my mom had some clothes in there too because her clothes were overflowing in her closet. But I always say my mom had the scent of Newport cigarettes mixed with like this beautiful scent of perfume that was her own scent. And it's almost as if even with her not being here now, God rest her soul, it's like I can smell it as I think about this space that felt like safety to me. The closet became my hiding space, the only place where I felt that I could be myself, right? No noise, no expectations. And it was honestly the first place that I feel like I actually told the truth. The identities that I was trying to put on were in there, the pain I didn't want to face, and the dreams I was so scared to have. Like it held literally everything that I didn't know how to say out loud. And I think in some way, that's like kind of like where closet therapy began. If I had to bring it all the way back to my childhood and back to the beginning, back then I didn't know that that same space would one day become the stage for my transformation, as well as so many others. So there was a moment where these things clicked. And it was years later when I found myself sitting in the middle of a closet in a multi-million-dollar home, surrounded by clothes people would dream of and cars and all the things that we see on people's highlight reels on social media of the idea of success and those that have actually made it. I was sitting in that space and my client walked in as she was getting ready to go to a basketball game with her husband. And she said, "Do I look rich?" And I'm not the type of girl that's like super uber sensitive or like will cry from a movie. But I have this, I guess I'm an empath, they will call it, but I felt this emotion that almost made me feel like I want to cry because it was as if like, oh my God, did you really just ask me that? And I told her that. I was like, did you really just ask me that? Like, I need you to close your eyes and then open them and look around at what you have. The fact that you are asking me, do you look rich, was something that kind of triggered this thing inside of me. And I believe that it was kind of the question that sparked even more curiosity about this space that used to be my safe space, the closet. And I can say it kind of changed everything for me because it was in that moment that I realized that the outside could look perfect, but the inside could still be at war with itself. It was also the moment my science, the fashion, the finance at the hedge fund, all these backgrounds all started to make sense to me. My journey nonetheless, right? And so I realized with my business, I wasn't just organizing closets, but it was almost as if I was stepping into the subconscious minds of my clients, which was really interesting. So all that to bring us to where I'm sure you're wondering, like, what is closet therapy? What is this podcast about? Are you going to just be teaching us organization tips? That, yes, but it's more about like the messy middle. And so as much as we sit and we admire so many people while feeling alone in our own internal conversations, closet therapy is not going to be about perfection. It's really about like the messy middle. That's what I like to call it, right? The jealousy, the comparison, the not enoughness. And I want to start the conversations that we've been avoiding, and the ones that make us actual humans, as most podcasts celebrate people's highlight reels, which I'm interested and intrigued too. I'm human, right? Their wins, their glow ups, their success stories. On this podcast, I want to go a little bit deeper. I want to know, what did they have to let go of to actually become who they are now? What did it cost them? And also, along with the highlight reel, I want a little dash of like those closet confessions, the things that they may have never exposed to us in their closet that they're going to expose here. And so this is closet therapy is a conversation series that investigates the connections between our space and ourselves. And there's this duality between the outside of what we show versus the inside of what we hide. I want to explore that with you. This is just an invitation behind the closet door for raw and reflective conversations. Real transformation does not happen in public. It really happens in the messy middle. And for so many of us, that messy middle is our closets, if we are honest with ourselves. Those conversations that we have when we're staring at the mirror in the morning, when we're getting ready, or at night when we're undressing to get ready for bed, or those moments where, if you're like me, that you just run away to that space where you feel safe, where you can be yourself, where those conversations in your head become actual words that you speak out in the mirror. This is what closet therapy is about, okay? The closet isn't just where we store our things, it's where we meet ourselves. This is not about organizing your closet. It's really about organizing your life. And while I will give you tips and those things about how to organize your closet, and this is a shameless plug that I'm about to drop right here, you can get more of that even on my newsletter. It's called the Social Brunch Club, where I bring the conversations from the closet to the brunch table, that is released every Saturday with a new brunch spot, whether you're on the East or West Coast. But I also give you journal prompts to actually help you dive deeper into those conversations that you may be having by yourself or when you're sitting at brunch with your friends. So if you actually want those organization tips and more of that information, you can find a lot of that there on the Social Brunch Club in my newsletter. But for now, on this podcast, we're going deep, okay? We're getting behind the closet door. And there will be science-backed insights because, as you heard, I am a scientist. And so I am going to be more mindful of bringing those things forward, the research papers, the things that I read to help you really understand, like translate what the research is saying to help you understand what's going on internally and externally in your clutter or within your space. So on this podcast, I'm going to be talking to scientists and psychologists, to creatives and thought leaders, and each conversation will reveal how our environment shape who we are and how letting go of what no longer fits makes space for who we are becoming. Everyone has a messy middle, and I plan to explore that through our Closet Confession segment, through conversations, the storytelling that I hope and my wish is that you will find yourself woven in between the threads of people's stories and also take away some tips of how you can apply those things to your life. The closet is a space that can transform and elevate your life. And if you're questioning if that is true, check out my conversation that I had with Oprah. She'll tell you what's up. My promise is that on this podcast, we're going to get messy, but we're also going to clean it up and we're going to do it together. So this podcast, this whole thing, this is my laboratory, and I'm inviting you into the space, into my mind, into my thoughts, into the conversations with my guests. And I'm going to share with you guys pretty much like the stories behind the clothes, the habits behind the clutter, the emotions behind the chaos, and the truths that we often see the moment we open our doors hiding in plain sight. We're going to explore real closets with our guests, real life, real identity shifts, the kind that you can't sweep under a rug and stuff in a storage bin. We're actually going to step into this. And I have this crazy hypothesis about the closet, and I have been more vocal about sharing it. I believe that the closet is the most overlooked space in our home, and yet it's the space that holds the most weight. It holds our tears, our fears, our insecurities, the dreams that we don't want people to know or that we're afraid to say out loud. It's also the space that has the power to be the most transformational. And so in my laboratory, this podcast, we are either going to prove me right or we're going to prove me wrong. And that's the whole point of science, right? Either way, we're going to explore this and go down this journey, opening up people's closet doors and going behind them and finding out if I'm right or if I'm wrong with my hypothesis, right? And I know that eventually I have to tell you guys about myself, right? I really hate this part, okay? I do not like talking about myself. I do not like running down my accolades as something that my executive coach is actually trying to get me out of like being able to talk about myself, acknowledge all the things that I've done. But this whole idea where everything clicked for me, if you fast forward, let's actually reverse that. If we rewind back 3 years ago, I was sitting in the center of my Harlem apartment. At this point, I had decided that I started to feel this that there's a connection between our closet and our mental health. And I started to see what happened to my clients after I finished working with them in their space. And when we would go through the edit, whether it was me walking them through the grief or just conversations that we had in the space, I said, there's something here. There's a neuroscience to this. There's something about this clutter. There's something about the closet telling a story. And to validate that I wasn't tripping, I actually called one of my friends that we studied undergrad together, who had gone off to be a PhD scientist, who I will have on the podcast at some point, but for Columbia University. And she studies like generational trauma. And I was just telling her, like, I feel like I need to get back into the lab. I feel like I need to start doing more research because there's not many studies on clutter. And if I see one more organizer or someone talk about this UCLA study, there is so much more to the study that says, like, clutter increases cortisol for women. Like, majority is like the women. I'm like paraphrasing, but I got so annoyed. I'm like, there's more to this. Like, I want to do more to this. So I gave her a call. I told her. She also understood. And I ended up living both in New York and LA. I was going back and forth, like, between New York and LA, working in her lab, coming back here to work with my clients. And it was in the Harlem apartment where I felt the need that I needed to bridge the gap. I needed to bridge the gap between neuroscience. I needed to bridge the gap between science in general, organization, architecture, like our built environments, the spaces that we inhabit, psychology, design, interior design. And I was like, who's going to do this? I mean, there's this new upcoming and rise in neuroarchitecture, which is another leg of neuroscience. But I was like, there's some way that I have to merge all of this together. And I heard so vividly while I was sitting on the floor. Of course, as you know, if you are in New York, your closets are not big. So I was sitting on the floor in front of the closet, meditating and just sitting in the space where I heard very clearly that I was going to be the one to do it. And it made no sense. I didn't know how I was going to do it, how I was going to bring these people together. But here we are on this podcast. And that is my hope, is that I can bring all of these different industries together to help us understand more about ourselves, to transform our lives, and also just to become better human beings in general. And so, again, I'm here in New York. I find myself in this neuroscience lab, watching the techs do the surgery, slicing the brains, doing the research, observing behavioral studies. And I got an opportunity to sit in the rooms with some of the brightest scientists. Like, we had these every Tuesday, they call them the talks. And there would be someone that was a visiting scientist and just talking about all of the things science. And it literally was like, as if someone was giving me a blood transfusion, like the way that I felt sitting in those rooms with these brilliant minds. It just made me start to realize that everything I intuitively knew and was experiencing through my own, what I call translational research outside of the lab, started to make scientific sense. And so I validated the fact that clutter overwhelms the brain. It spikes anxiety. It drains decision-making energy. It keeps you stuck. And these closets, this intriguing idea that I have about the closets, they're the place where memory, identity, fear, habit, and hope, they all collide in this one space at the same time. And so no wonder why we feel emotional when we get dressed. No wonder why so many of us say we don't have something to wear when we have a closet full of clothes. It's not the clothes, it's the stories behind them. And this is something that I want to unpack majorly on this podcast. And so, as I told you guys, I'm even sitting here probably like sweaty palms because I have to introduce myself. But me giving you insight into who I am and actually makes me cringe and like kind of want to shrink at the thought of having to explain my background and what I've done and the accolades, because your girl has done a lot of things. I told you guys all of the industries that I've walked through and journeyed through, and listing off my accomplishments of like where I've been featured or where I've been is so freaking boring to me that I actually am going to call someone else in to do my dirty work. I also still struggle to believe that I actually have been a part of these things that have happened in my life. And that's something that I'm working on, just acknowledging. And so I have no idea what these two people are going to share about me, because I just asked them to tell people who I am. I didn't give them a preface. I didn't give them a script. I didn't give them anything. I just told them, hey, will you hop on and tell our audience who is Shaniece, beyond the titles, beyond what you guys get to see on Instagram, which I don't post very often, but besides that, so I called in my cousin James, who was my first friend. He also became like a marine biologist and, double masters, all these things, super intelligent. I'm so proud of my cousin. But he was my first friend from preschool all the way up until high school. And obviously, like, we went to separate colleges, etc. But you're going to hear from him. And then you're going to hear from my friend Lauren, who is pretty much like my big sister. And she has navigated a lot of my messy middles with me. Oh my gosh, over a decade of life together. So this is going to be much more exciting. So let's take it away. Here we go. I don't even know what they're going to say. So you guys are going to get the real deal.
Listen, Shaniece is at this point family first and foremost. Shaniece is family. Shaniece is the little sister who will do anything for you, who will also eat up all your food, but she will fold up your clothes, pack your suitcase, get your container store things together like a champ. So that is one part of Shaniece. But Shaniece Jones is also an Oprah endorsed, New York Times featured, Jennifer Hudson 2-time guest, closet pro, organizer, the girl who has the system, and I got notifications. It's just like Shaniece is both sides. She is the homegirl who is the realist, and she's also like up in these, celebrity streets, getting everyone's stuff together.
Yes, guys, I didn't know what Lauren was going to say. There's also a part of me that she knows that sometimes she has to make me dig into my own closet. What's an area of growth, I guess, that you would say that you've kicked my behind multiple times?
Ooh, I have kicked your butt multiple times on remembering who the hell you are. Because Shaniece has always been that girl. Like, wherever we go, we'll go somewhere. It's for me, and everyone's like, "Hey, Shaniece, like, let's be best friends," or it'll be some celebrity like, "Oh, I know Shaniece." I'm like, dude, what is going on? So Shaniece always has this like light over her, and it's over her. She's just always bathed in the light. She forgets that it's there. So I got to kick her butt and remind her, like, girl, are you serious? You have self-doubt right now? Like, please.
She's like a big reason behind me pushing me to do this podcast, because how many times do I keep circling the block? I want to do a podcast. I want to do a podcast.
We'll just be sitting here reading a book. Shanice is like, yeah, when I do the podcast someday, when I get the podcast going. And I was like, enough. Just do the podcast, because I can't hear about it one more freaking time. Just do it.
And so we're here on this podcast, Closet Therapy, and Lauren is going to be a guest. So you guys will actually get an opportunity to meet her. I'm sure Onyx is going to be controlling the room once he gets here. That is my nephew. He popped up this year and has been the greatest asset to our lives. And I would say even to my life, to see how much Lauren has grown. So thank you, LM, for letting people know about me, because I did not want to do that part. It's so, like when you talk about yourself. I was like, I'm going to have someone come in who knows me, that's going to give y'all the raw deal Holyfield. As she told you, I will eat you out of house and home. You say you cooking, I'm hopping in the car. I'm getting on the road. I don't care. Like, I will.
She will. It's not a short drive. We're both in LA, but it's not a short drive for her to get here. I'll be like, oh, I'm just, getting the Instant Pot out. She's like, my shoes are on. I'll be there.
I swear, I drop everything. So
everything. She's gonna eat your food.
Yes.
So
if you know how to cook.
If you can cook, don't
even try. Don't mess up mac and cheese. Don't do it.
Listen, just don't offer her food, because I don't want her to have to pretend to like it. Just, you'll know if she wants it, and yeah, that's it. But like, speaking of my kitchen, you organized my kitchen in October of 2022. I went out of town. I was like, just when I get back, make this pantry pop. It's still organized to this day. And we found a before picture.
It's crazy.
I could not believe I was living like that.
I'm going to post it here.
You should. I literally, it was just like a bag of pasta, some chips, some crackers. Now the system is there.
It's
She
there.
knows what she's doing inside the closet and the outside that everybody sees. Shaniece Jones has got it all.
Oh, thank you, Ellen. Well, thank you. I'll
Hmm.
let you get back to my nephew because he's about to sound like he's about to destroy something over
Yeah,
there.
he is. He's loose right now, so I should
Exactly.
go.
All right, cool. Thank you. I'll hit you later.
All right, bye.
Bye. From your perspective, who is Shaniece?
Wow, this is a great question to start with. Shaniece is my cousin, my first friend, someone who I don't need to talk to every day, but just almost like a therapist for me, and a person who also motivates me and challenges me. We're pretty much very close in age, I think a few months apart, and so you know not that there it was always a friendly competition between us growing up, just to be able to see how we're doing and have someone to motivate me to continue to be great.
Yes. And so what would you say was, I mean, even me as a child, like what if you could go back?
Pop Pop would just make like these potluck Jamaican meals, man. It'd be something in dumpling, rice and dumplings, and it was always these dumplings that he made. And he was old school. We had to sit at the table and we couldn't get up until we finished the entire meal. One of the things I think where we really got close was high school because we were in the same grade level. And for a spell, you went to the aquaculture program, which is something I really appreciated. And even you leaving aquaculture, right? That was when I started to see like, all right, Shaniece is forging her own path and starting to understand that people are their own individuals. I think because of your height, everybody always used to just assume that you should play a sport. And your running joke was like, I don't have ups, I have downs. And like but that was you. That became, and I started to see my cousin no longer be my play friend, but be their own individual person. And at the time, like I had to learn to understand that you are your own individual, and like the choices that you made were your choices. And we could always look back on it and say I should have, would have, could have. But like you are where you are now, and you're in your space. And I saw you like New York Times, talking to Oprah and all these different things. And I'm like, oh, that's what's up. Like every step that you've taken or not taken led you to the point of where you are, right? You always would say, like, we're going to be the first millionaires in the family. And I really like love that because it was like you were speaking it into existence. And me, I was a broke college student. I couldn't fathom it at the time, of course, like, because I'm sitting there trying to like holla at chicks to get $10 for a little bit of beverage and a little bit of puff that night. And so for us to then for you to start planting that seed, like, yeah, we are going to be great. Like we are going to do these amazing things moving forward. Like you were that motivation. I look at the story of Job and it makes me think of you because life just kept throwing you curveballs and you just kept this positive demeanor and you kept moving forward. If people knew the things that you've gone through, they probably would just have shut down and became dependent on some type of vice. But like you use it as motivation to continue to move forward, and that like that in itself really pushes me. I know you like had us doing family prayers and just talking about us checking in. I think you were the one that started the group chat that we have amongst our family. And I look at my other side of my family, I'm like, man, we need someone to do that for this side. And I feel like maybe it's me that needs to take the reign, but it came from you, like you being the person to just want to check in and just,
Mhm.
we don't do a lot on that group call, but just the fact that someone's saying, hey, happy Monday. And so I'm really just proud of where you are in life and keep pushing, keep moving forward and keep doing all the great things that you're doing. But don't hesitate to come back to the East Coast to check on us.
Oh, Lord. Oh, okay. Thank you, cousin. I appreciate you. And y'all, I didn't know what he was going to say. So this is more of an insight into who I am. All right. So y'all heard it first. Your girl's a foodie. Didn't know that they were going to both call me out on that. They don't know each other at all. And the fact that they both brought up the same pattern is something I need to look at about myself. And whatever, it is who I am. I love to eat. Okay, guys, that's why I work out and run, do half marathons and things, because that is just who I am. So as I'm confessing, I'm going to lead you into the segment that we're going to have on every episode, which is called Closet Confessions. And I felt that it was only right that I confess first, right? I don't want my guests to be the first people to confess. I think that it's best that I show vulnerability and accountability for my actions and for who I was at the time. But there was a season of my life where I was buying things I could not afford just to feel like I was enough. Designer items became my armor, my validation, my I belong here, right? Like, look at what I'm wearing. Like, this is where I belong. It was like a costume. And y'all, it was a straight up circus. Your girl had a red nose. I was the clown and the main act, the main attraction in the circus. While I was trying to fit in and do all of the things, your girl was stacking up all of the debt and the credit cards, and it's a mess, okay? I wasn't shopping. I realized in hindsight that I was in survival mode. I was still trying to discover who I was, and I was coping with a lot of grief. My brother was murdered my freshman year of college. My sister ended up passing away suddenly in my sophomore year of college. And then if you fast forward to just in between that, a friend was murdered. I dealt with a lot of grief. I'll say all of that just to say that grief seemed to have followed me even to the loss of my mother. And in those moments, if I'm looking and thinking about it now, like it's like hitting me like a light bulb, I would always go shopping when I would feel the most grief. It was like something that I was trying to fill some type of void with the bags, with the expensive bags, with the shoes and the labels, because to me it said like, yeah, I'm spiraling inside and dealing with anxiety and panic attacks on the inside that no one even knew. I can be sitting right in front of you and you not even know that I'm dealing with anxiety because I, in therapy learned tips and tools that I can do to kind of like calm myself. But inside I was spiraling. But on the outside, as long as everything looked good and put together, then I was cool. I was okay. Like, you would never know. Like, life is great. How are you? I'm great. How are you? Deflecting, taking the attention off myself. But I hoped that these bags, the labels, and the shoes, which is like, it's my kryptonite. I'm not going to even lie. I love shoes. I will work 5 jobs to be able to afford a pair of good shoes. But hoping that one of them would actually finally fix the insecurity that was underneath. That for years, I didn't think that I was pretty enough. I would look and avoid mirrors. I didn't want to look in the mirror because I didn't feel like it reflected back to me. I think that all started after I was rejected in high school. I asked a guy out to be my prom date for junior prom, and he said in patois that I eventually got translated from my grandfather that I looked like a damn bird. And that probably crushed me. And then follow that up with guys not talking to me at the mall. And I always have to get there's nothing wrong with being a little chubby, but that's who they would always put off on me, right? And so just the insecurity, all of the things like, oh, I don't have the right shoes, like, or I don't have the fancy shoes, the new Jordans that everybody was wearing because I couldn't afford it. And so there was a lot of insecurity, and that led to the feelings of not being enough or feeling like enough. But the closet, again, it never lies. The closet will always tell you the truth if you open your closet doors and you actually start to listen to what it's saying, right? It would always reflect what's going on inside of you because the closet is a metaphor. It's like a mirror. Normally what's reflected outside is some sort of sign or result of what's happening on the inside and vice versa, right? So if your outside space is cluttered, then you have this feeling of stress and overwhelm within yourself, which leads to anxiety and the release of cortisol and all of these things we will dig deeper in as we get deeper into these episodes. But I bring it all back to the closet. If my closet could talk then, it would tell the story of a girl who didn't know her value, but tried to dress like she did. I dumbed down my intelligence to fit in. I hid my brilliance under labels, literally, and I wanted validation so bad that I forgot that I already had value. And if I had to bring you forward to present day now, if my closet could talk now, what would it tell you? And if as I'm sitting here thinking, it would be like, oh, I minimized my life, right? Like I started to invest in pieces versus identity, right? And there's still some residue of the not feeling enough or the insecurity that comes up now, but I'm aware of what's happening when it starts to happen or when my closet gets a little bit chaotic. But it would tell you, my closet would tell you that I'm someone who's not afraid to pull out those skeletons that normally hide in the back of my closet. I'm not afraid to be vulnerable and confront those things to change who I am, to become better, or to transform my life, or even to get unstuck. Like a lot of these things, like if I really told you that your closet says more about you than you think, I hope on this podcast you will soon, as you join me on this journey, will soon understand that it is always talking and it never lies. And it does say a lot about who you are. And so that is what my closet would tell you. And I want to give you just some tips that you can take away. And I call this, which you'll see throughout the other episodes, is the Closet RX, which is my closet prescription. And I don't want you to go in right now like, oh, I got to open my closet and I just have to start pulling everything out. Like, let me see what the closet is saying. You're going to overwhelm yourself. You're going to stress yourself out. And you're going to be in my DMs giving me some trash, okay? We're not going to do that. What I want to offer up as a suggestion is to actually step into your closet and see which space makes you the most overwhelmed. It can be your dresses, it can be your shorts, it can be a drawer that's a messy drawer, which is fine because the messy middle. That's where transformation happens, right? But I want you to go and see which space actually causes something to change within you. What causes you to feel anxious? What causes you to like, oh, I don't want to deal with it, and actually confront it. What is something in there? What is the item in there that is speaking the loudest to you? And what would it mean if you had to let it go? Journal it out. There is power in writing. Normally I'd be like, oh, just pick up your phone and voice note it. There is power in writing it out so that you can easily release it. So in this Closet RX, I just gave you some tools of how you can get started doing some of your own closet therapy, okay? With that said, I'm just going to give you a little glimpse of what future episodes may look like, right? We will explore letting go, overconsumption culture, identity shifts, high function and anxiety, the neuroscience of space, interior design, the science behind clutter, the science behind generational trauma, hearing from architects, scientists, organizers, psychologists, therapists. As you guys heard me in the beginning, I'm trying to really bridge the gap between all these industries because I feel like one gives us information for the other and gives information for the other. And when it all comes together, not only will it help us transform our spaces, but it will help us to transform ourselves from the outside in or vice versa, from the inside out. And so my hope is that after each episode that you walk away feeling that it was an intimate conversation, that you can reflect on it. It was uncomfortable, but necessary. It was fun. There was some laughter. There was some realizations about yourself. It was transformational. And like, it was as if I was sitting on the floor with you, you know, your friend inside of your closet, on the closet floor, telling you the stuff that you probably don't want to hear, but need to hear, but also leading with love, leading with empathy, and leading with truth and vulnerability. So that is my hope that you will take away from each episode on this podcast, Closet Therapy, because I'm always going to give you the truth, whether you want to hear it or not. But I promise you that, again, that as we navigate the messy middle, you're not going to be doing it alone. So just make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you know someone that you want to journey through the messy middle with, or that can benefit from this podcast, or you just want to be super supportive, what would be helpful is if you share this episode with as many people as you know. Download it on the platforms that you listen to your podcast and support your girl, okay? This is something that I believe will literally change globally people's lives, you know, and that is a deep belief that I have. And it's my work. This is my research. This is my lab. This is something that I hope to leave behind in the earth. And your support is more than you know. It is appreciated. And I'm truly grateful. And so in closing, I wrote a letter to you. Whether you have been following me on my Instagram, or you've been following me in my journey, whether you found me in ministry, whether you found me in finance, whether you found me, we're friends from high school or college, whatever, or if you're new here and my voice is new to you, this is my letter to you. Hey, I know what it feels like when everything looks good on the outside, but your life feels like it's unraveling on the inside. The shame, the guilt, the anxiety that lie down and wake up with you. I've been there through grief, loss, identity battles, and the fear of not being enough. But here's what I know. There is power in the messy middle. And just like that moment when you pull everything out of your closet and you're sitting in the middle of your room surrounded by clothes, wondering, why the hell did I even do this? Why did I start? That's where transformation begins. Because on the other side of that mess is an organized closet, a clearer mind, a better you. That's my promise to you. We're going to get messy, but we're going to clean it up together. This isn't about organizing your closet. It's about organizing your life. Because the closet isn't just where we store our things. It's where we meet ourselves. And I can't wait to meet you. Welcome to Closet Therapy.